Thank you. We told you to write into us and wrote into us, you did. Viewer Suyash Bahuguna, thanks for writing in. His question was, Sir, I look forward to work with hard light. How do I avoid bad shadows? There is no such thing as bad shadow, just like there is no such bad beyond photography tutorial. No bad shadows, just bad place to put shadow.
Action!
Hey, before we start, remember the e-learning course that many of you supported pre-registration not too long ago? Yes, the Advanced Flash e-learning course. Well, the good news is we have filmed all the lessons in this class and they are undergoing editing, and many of the lessons are finished edit as well. We're going to be launching them very soon in the next couple of weeks. In fact, maybe in the next couple of days, you're going to see these lessons being launched. So we just want to take this opportunity to thank you for the kind support, and we hope that you enjoy the lessons that we're going to be uploading soon. Now, back to shadows. To help you learn why shadows are cool, the lovely Filipina.
Hello.
I've set up two lights. One is on an umbrella directly in front of Filipina, and another one is directly at the side of her. I'm going to take two shots, the one without shadow or the one with shadow. As you can see, the one with shadow makes her look slimmer and a sharper face profile. Well, since we have established the fact that shadow is cool to have in your photo, how do you get shadows? To get shadows, you need bright lights. The brighter the light, the darker and more intense the shadow is. I've set up a tungsten light on the right side of Filipina now. I'm gonna go there and increase the power of this light progressively, and as I do that, you will notice that this side of her face will get darker and darker shadow. So let's learn how to get shadows now. As I increase the light, my cameraman would then increase the aperture. It is this increasing of his aperture that will make Filipina's left side look shadowy. And if you keep on doing this, you will notice that the shadow on the left hand side gets darker and more intense. And there you have it. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. And that explains why if you shoot with a low f number and a low flash value, you'll never get shadow. And look at this shot, which is done with f11 or f16 with a very bright full power light. Shadow tells the direction of a light source. Our most natural light source is the sun. It comes from above. Hence, it will be totally freaky if your light source is not higher than your subject. The subjects would have a sinister look. As you can see, her shadow goes up in this photo, which does not happen in natural light. Since we now know that shadow tells the directions of your lights, firstly, make sure shadows always go down. Secondly, use shadow to decipher where the lights are when you're looking at your favorite photos done by your favorite photographers. More often than not, my clients will require me to produce shots based on visuals that they see elsewhere from other advertisements. And I use shadow to decipher how many lights and where the lights come from. You need shadows to obtain colors if you're adding color gels to your lights. To get strong color, the best place for your gel to work on would be shadowy areas. Example, this is a white wall, and when it has insufficient light, it becomes shadowy. And when I fire a flash on this area, it appears colored. If you do the same with walls that have no shadow or bright, you will not be able to color it. So if you were to add colors to your rim lights, make sure that the light falls on the subject's shadow side like this. These are tones. This is the highlight tone, this is your favorite mid-tone, and this is your shadow tone. What separates each are called the edge. So you have the shadow midtone edge and the midtone highlight edge here. Too frequently, photographers fail to realize how important these edges are. They are used to reshape your subjects and show surface texture. As such, it's very important where the shadow edges are. This is an example of a bad shadow edge. It cuts through the subject's eyes, making her look like she has a black eye. Ouch! So, the next time you shoot a portrait using lights, ensure that the shadow edge does not cut through your subject's eyes. Instead, place it away from the eyes and use it to give an optical illusion that the subject is actually slimmer. This works because the viewer's eyes perceive her face actually starts here and not here. In the coming episode, we'll show you how you can use edges to show surface texture. What you have just learned comes from our syllabus of advanced flash photography. Just a small portion of that class and you have learned so much. And because of that, we are producing a new master class called Advanced Flash Photography. If you increase the intensity of your light hitting your subject, the shadow that he or she casts will be darker. You will realize that the light comes down. You also realize that the light comes from this side and nowhere else. So you can actually look at every photo and decipher exactly if you distance the light to whatever that's blocking it, the shadow would have a hard edge. It's called the umbra. And this part is called the penumbra. And by looking at this property, I will know how far the photographers put the light away. My favorite property of shadow, adding colors to shadow. If you have a wall that has no light, you can add colored light to it. And it is so that you can see the ISO that you can get. My favorite ISO is 200. As high as you can go with the F number, F16 is my all-time favorite. And my shutter speed is 200 to ensure that I don't break the sync speed. Now let me show you what happens when you take this shot and adhere to the front of your flash. Make sure that you leave a gap like so. Otherwise, you're gonna burn them. Point proven that you can only add color to shadow. If the wobble is nearer to the light source, you're gonna get more feathered shadow. So looking at this shadow, this is your ambient. And looking at this midtone here, this is your flash value. So if we can find out what is the difference between ambient and flash value, but let's wrap our head around on the area of illumination for now. Here are some photos with large area of illumination. And here are pictures with smaller area of illumination. Well, I'm sure you would have understood this. Although key means that more shadowy pictures with more focused light and smaller lights. And this is exactly why we need to learn Big Five. You're probably asking me now, how do I determine and visualize the coverage when you're using studio strobes like this and also hot shoe flashes like this? Let me show you two ways you can do this. So you would probably use a high f value of f11 or f16 to do this shoot here. And then look at this location here. It's dark. And you would know by now in natural lighting you have to drop your f value to maybe f2 or f4 to perform the shoot. I would need to shoot at this f value to get this side of the face to midtone. And to get this side of the face to midtone, I would need to use a lower f value. Coming here is a modified light. And if you use a hot shoe flash on a small to medium sized modifier, they will always cut away 2 stops of lights. Right after you figure out the area of illumination, let's figure out the intensity of coverage. What gives you f4 on modified light? Coming here. So looking at lighter's cheat sheet, we know that our hot shoe flash needs to be at a power 1/8. Oh, listen carefully. The special pre-registration price ends on the 3rd of May. So that's when we're going to launch the course. So you better head on to this website, subscribe while you can. Don't miss out on this special offer before we launch the e-learning of Advanced Flash. Suyash Bahuguna wrote into us and say, "Sir, I'm looking forward to work with..."
Just because he's Indian, you don't need to do the Indian accent.
Oh really? I went Indian accent on him. Okay. The one without shadow or the one with shadow? How do you get shadow? Well, shadow can only be obtained if your lights are bright enough. Oh, fuck. I want to say duck.